Hey there, welcome to episode 0 of my Extremeish Chunklocked Ironman series. In this episode we'll be just going over the basic rules of the account, what my Chunk 1 tasks are, which I'll be showing you in a short moment. Alright, before we go over the tasks, let's go over the rules quickly. So I've gone with the basics of an Extreme Chunker set, however I have made some adjustments personally. So for visible tasks, it will just show all skilling tasks, it will show quest tasks, whether I can complete the whole quest or not. So I've got to do each individual step as I unlock the ability to do so. I'm requiring myself to do diary tasks as soon as they're possible to be done, no matter what tier they're in, including Fossil Island mini tasks and combat achievements. Hopefully requiring combat achievements won't screw me over down the track. If they become basically impossible for me to do with the gear I have at the time, we can rediscuss any requirements or any ability to skip temporarily that I might make. We're also getting the best in slot for everything, so accuracy, strength, defense for all combat styles. When Project Rebalance comes out, this will also include that if there are differences. I'm not expecting there to be, but just in case. So this, as seen here, includes flinching, includes tank gear, includes prayer boosting gear, weight reducing gear, stab/crush for melee, and both one-handed and two-handed. Next up, we have the overall skill. So I have decided to start with my tutorial island items. The reason I chose to do this is without that, when I started the account, there was basically nothing I could do in Seers. I also felt that I wanted to do something slightly different to the standard, which the standard is to drop everything. So I've kept it all. It gave me some of the grinds I have to go through. Some of them I am very thankful that I kept my starting items. I must obtain skill caps. This, to me, is the most important part for an extreme one chunk. Now, in the starting chunk, I actually have access to the 99 cape for construction. However, I do not have a way to train it. I'm required to process all resources that I gain throughout my chunk into the highest level of processing. If that means I can only get one of an item, I must save it until I can turn it into the hardest and highest level item. Best in slot items also include gear that I can craft personally for myself. So if I can create the item and equip it, I must be able to do so before I leave the chunk. Secondary training methods, I have set at a rate of 1 in 10 after some strong consideration on multiple options such as 1 in 16, 1 in 50, and a few others. I decided on going 1 in 10. I felt like grinding for an item off of a mob drop to then have to use it is a little bit extreme for me. I've still got to do it, but I don't want it to be something that I could be spending multiple 100 kills trying to get the items I need to continue. Methods inside Chambers of Xeric and other areas can still count as primary training methods for me. I haven't got those chunks unlocked, so it probably doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it's still part of the goals. Skill boosts can be considered for skill tasks, so if I can boost up rather than getting the full level, I am able to do so. This just makes some grinds a little bit easier, even though I'll have to continue them later on. Just helps make it a bit faster and more achievable. I am choosing to have agility shortcuts to both count as a skill task and a primary method of training. For construction, crafting furniture inside my player-owned house is a primary training method as well as chunk tasks. Miscellaneous construction milestones can also be included, such as changing my house style or just buying a house. I've chosen to exclude mini-games and bosses XP to count as a primary way to train construction at this time. When I unlock one, I may reconsider depending on the state of the account. I've chosen to allow raking patches to count as a primary training method for farming. I hope this doesn't screw me over down the track. I've also decided to allow farming products to count as a primary item source for chunk tasks. We'll gate some tasks behind farming to a degree, but I think it'll be well worth the effort. I've also chosen to allow all other standard sources of farming XP to count towards chunk tasks. Herblore tasks will be required once Druidic Ritual is completable and I have primary access to any of the level 3 herbs. This chunk is not too far away, so we'll see if I get it unlocked pretty soon. But for now, Herblore is locked out. Cleaning grimy herbs and making unfinished potions can count as chunk tasks. This is just to get some grinds out of the way earlier rather than later. Okay, for Hunter, I am allowing Implinks from Pura Pura and their drops to count as chunk tasks once I unlock a way to get into Pura Pura, and as well as Implinks that randomly wander the world and their drops to count towards chunk tasks based on my Hunter level. I am not going to include Implinks that have non-guaranteed spawns in Pura Pura's chunk tasks. I just don't want to be stuck in Pura Pura for ages and ages grinding to get to lucky Implinks. For magic, I've allowed the magic training area. For magic, I've allowed the MTA to be required with secondary sources of nature lore and cosmic runes, just to get that grind out of the way when I unlock it. It is on the opposite side of the map, so that could be a long way away and maybe irrelevant. For magic, I am not counting spells as a way to process runes. I, however, am requiring me to unlock the highest level teleport I can as soon as I unlock an area to teleport back to my starting area. This changes up a few of the grinds as well as gives me the ability to change up where I can go on the chunk map once I unlock teleports. For mining, I'm not requiring the tiers of shooting stars as a chunk task. I just felt that it would be too much sitting around waiting, trying to get the right spawns for shooting stars rather than actively mining. For prayer, I am just having no task until I unlock an item that requires a higher prayer level. Activating all prayers possible will just happen naturally throughout the progress of the account. Unlocking runecrafting pouches will count as a chunk task, so if I unlock a larger pouch and require a higher runecrafting level, I must grind to get that runecrafting level to be able to use it. Using Slayer equipment can count for my chunk tasks. However, it is highly likely that I'll get Slayer locked once I unlock a Slayer Master. The superhit item spell will create chunk tasks for me once I unlock mining or a reasonable access to ores. When I started this account, forestry was not out yet, so this here will change some of the grinds later on into the account, but early on, nothing forestry related existed. Forestry events and rewards will count as chunk tasks once I have access to the forestry kit, which, as I said, comes in later into the account rather than right at the beginning. Killing a boss can be used as a chunk task, so if I unlock, for example, Obor, I must green log Obor as a task. I'm allowing tertiary Slayer keys such as Brimstone and Larens to count towards chunk tasks. Item spawns are also a primary access to an item and can be used as a primary way to train a skill if required. Items obtained from minigame rewards can count as chunk tasks, including PvP heavy minigames such as LMS. PvP is not something I've done much of, if at all, in OSRS, but we will give it a go once I unlock one. I must obtain best in slot and quality of life skilling items such as Dragon's Pickaxe or Angler Outfit. I must unlock all chunk specific collection log slots. The exclusion to this on the rule set here is clues, as once I unlock 100% completable clues within my chunks, I will not be requiring that until the end of the account. For collection logs, this actually includes pets and jars from certain bosses. Yes, they will be a grind, but this is something I am looking forward to. I must obtain all extra uniques that are untracked on the collection log, such as gardening boots from farmers. I'm not requiring skilling pets to be obtained. That's just a big no from me. Big props to Supremes out there who require skilling pets to be obtained as soon as the skill is trainable. I, however, will not be doing that. That is a little bit too over the top for my personal enjoyment of the game. I must obtain all stuffable items that can be found in the player-owned house as soon as they are unlocked, as well as building and filling stash units as soon as I am able to. Must fill the slots in my player-owned costume room, and I require permanently unlockable options be unlocked. At the start of the account, this was turned off. However, I retroactively have turned it on as where I'm at in the account now, and must get it before I can finish my current chunk. Now I've gone with the must obtain every drop from every unique monster's drop table, including from birds' nests, which is generally a supreme rule. However, I've added it into myself as I felt like rather than getting just each item once, may as well get it from every source once. So in this starting chunk, that will mean a few grinds, which we'll go through in a minute. I must also buy every item from every shop within my chunks at least once. Now that we've gone over the chunk rules, let's go over the chunk tasks. To start with, we have everything woodcutting related. So, because I kept my bronze axe from Tutorial Island, I must chop a U-log for 60 woodcutting. Must get 65 making to burn the U-log. And I must get 72 fletching to fletch a U-shield, which then requires me to get 40 defense to equip the U-shield. I must get level 1 thieving to pickpocket a man or woman, and I must get level 1 magic to cast Windstrike. For best in slot tasks, I must get a bronze medium helm, a corrupted kite shield, an iron dagger, a U-shield, my bronze sword from Tutorial Island, a staff of fire, a short bow from Tutorial Island, a bronze arrow from Tutorial Island or men, and my bronze axe from Tutorial Island. For quest and diary tasks, I must start Elemental Workshop and get up to step 2, which is obtaining the key from the book to enter the Elemental Workshop. For diary tasks, I must play the church organ in Seers Village Church, defeat one of each elemental in the Elemental Workshop, and buy a stew from the Seers Village pub. There are a few drop tables that I must get. We first have the air, water, fire, and earth elementals, which I'll show you the drops for on screen. The best drops from each of them are definitely their staves, as well as some of the higher tier runes, such as Chaos, Death, and Blood. They all drop their elemental runes quite commonly as well. I also must get the man and women drop tables. These have some of my best in slots, such as the bronze medium helm and the iron dagger, as well as a bunch of herbs, as do the elementals, and mind runes, which will help with any training I decide to do for magic. And then the last few tasks I have are buy a beer, a meat pie, and a stew from the Forester's Arms, which is the pub in Seers Village. Bronze axe and bronze pickaxe from my Tutorial Island. I must buy a player-owned house. Here we can see a change in my rule set. So originally I didn't require getting the Angel Gravestone from Death's Office. I've now decided to add that in. Originally I was going to have the Angel Gravestone from Death's Office locked behind unlocking a general store to sell my items to, just to simplify the procurement of the GP. However, I have since unlocked low alchemy pretty easily on the account via magic training, and will be requiring me to low alch until I have the GP. I also must obtain the corrupted kite shield, which you can get from a guy in Seers Village. Thanks for watching. This is my first video I've edited myself, and I'm sure it will only improve going forward. The next part of my journey will all be voiced over due to the clips being all muted, but until then, have a great day.